Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to vamp a little bit more on the State of the Union address last night by President Trump. I know I put already a video up on my YouTube exclusively, but this one is more for everyone. One of the greatest speech he's ever delivered, possibly the greatest State of the Union address since they started in Wilson's time. It just was magnificent, and it was amazing to watch the audience and how they were. I think the Democrats this time around were a little bit shy about sneering and sitting on their hands, because the last time around it didn't look good, so they were a little bit looser. I mean, the last time when President Trump mentioned that under his auspices, black unemployment had reached an all-time low, and you saw, people in the Congressional Black Caucus sitting there not applauding and snarling. It just didn't look right to them. So I think this time they were trying to at least put on an image somewhat of respect. But the reaction went beyond that. I mean, the left-wingers on the Democratic side were applauding. You had all these women dressed in these white uniforms. I don't know what the significance of that was, but it just looked like something out of Mao Zedong or something. It's like they're all sitting there with little Mao suits. And they started to applaud when President Trump mentioned that women's employment under his auspices had risen to the highest levels ever. And then he swept his hand and he said, look at this. I mean, we have more women elected to Congress than ever before. And it was, which is of course the truth, and they started to applaud and smile. To me, does this mean that the ice has been finally broken, that maybe this irrational, demented Trump hatred is over? No, I don't think so. But the speech was perfectly delivered. It was filled with substance. He laid out a Trump doctrine for foreign policy, which was that America is not going to be involved in these perpetual wars in the Middle East, in particular, that we are strong enough militarily that we can handle situations that might arise without committing troops to the ground, without engaging in perpetual war, and that he was planning on withdrawing American forces from Iraq to fight ISIS and also from Afghanistan. This is what you would assumedly think the left would love, that they were calling for, during those years of Bush. I mean, they called for it a little less loudly during Obama's years, even though Obama expanded the war because it was Obama. But here we have President Trump ending these perpetual wars, and they don't have a lot to say about that. As far as domestic agendas go, yes, he increased spending, but and there are people, in conservative circles who are critical of that, and I certainly understand that. I mean, my response to that, however, is to factor in the fact that by reducing onerous regulations, by cutting taxes and signing the tax bill, and by allowing for more domestic production of energy, to the point where the United States, for the first time in history, is exporting energy in the form of oil and gas, and protectionist measures to protect American industry and American labor, that these policies will encourage capital creation and capital accumulation on the domestic level. They will encourage investment in American industry domestically, because it's a good opportunity for businesses to make money. I mean, America is a more attractive place to do business. And I'm not even factoring in the new replacement to NAFTA, which would also favor American interests over those of our neighbors to the north and south. That these things, by creating capital, creating investment, which creates jobs, it creates income. And income means taxes. And taxes mean, if properly earmarked, a reduction in the national deficit and debt. So when we talk about increasing the size of government, Yes, I would be critical of that. However, not quite as big as past presidents. In fact, quite a bit less than that, much more conservatively, and that increase is countered by an increase in domestic production, which increases revenues to offset, if not reduce, that burgeoning national debt. Now, I know that I'm running on a lot of assumptions there economically that maybe, we're assuming that things go better. Yes, that's true. But I think we all hope that they do, and I think indications are that they will. That's not to say we might not have a small correction, but I don't think it's going to be a big one. And I think that the kind of gains that we're making economically are such that they're going to be permanent because it transcends simply a matter of tax policy. These are systemic, fundamental changes to our system, which result in more investment. And I would just conclude by pointing out that President Trump, in the final comments, delivered a soaring speech that was inspiring. It made me tingle. It was amazing. And I think everyone in that room, in spite of themselves, were absorbed by it, were fascinated by it. It was some of the best rhetoric that I've heard delivered by a president, probably since John F. Kennedy's inauguration. And it just, I think, left the room stunned. The Trump haters are on their heels. Now they're all trying to do damage control by saying, oh, well, he wasn't prepared or some nonsense like that. But all in all, it was a tremendous success. It was a great tour de force. He set the direction, set the tone for his administration, laid out specifics. The idea of the right to try. I know someone in my own life who's benefiting from that law, in that she needs experimental or wants experimental treatments. Now, because of that law, she can get that without any hindrance. I think we have a lot to look forward to. I feel encouraged. I feel energized. And, I pray for Trump, and I thank God that he's there. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Charles Moscowitz. Take care. Have a great day.